All right, it is time for Pete Prisco's Power Rankings here on CBS Sports HQ. That's Pete Prisco. I'm Chris Hassel. Bryant McFadden will join us in just a minute. Pete, the story to this point has to be the surprising New York teams. Not Buffalo, the New York Giants, the New York Jets, both over 500.
They play in New Jersey, but
right.
I get it. Yeah, they're an amazing story. They really are, both of them. And give them credit to the two coaches. Both guys have done a good job. Remember, Robert Saleh said he was taking receipts. He's going to be pulling them out pretty soon, and there will be a bag full of them. You know why? Because everybody thought they'd be bad this year, and give them credit for what they did. Now, the Miami victory is a little tainted. They didn't have their quarterback. They started a rookie quarterback. They were down 2, so you tainted a little bit. But give them credit. You are what you are. They always say that in this league. You are what you are, and they have a winning record. And the Giants are amazing.
First time in 7 years that both of those teams, Giants and Jets, have a winning record at the same time. So let's see how high they rise in Pete's Power Rankings. The Giants actually into the top 10 at number 8. Top 3 remaining the same, all with big games this week. Eagles hosting the Cowboys on Sunday night. Bills and Chiefs play each other in Kansas City. As for the Jets, they are up 12 spots to number 14. And look who they're just ahead of, the 2 Super Bowl teams from last season. Patriots and Saints back into the teens as well after much-needed victories to keep them in playoff contention. The Texans finally out of the basement after picking up their first win of the season. They're up to number 25 ahead of the Jags, who just a couple of weeks ago were in the top 10. There's a new last place team, the Washington Commanders at number 32. All right, let's get to it. Chris Hassel, Pete Prisco, and Bryant McFadden. We do it each and every Tuesday here on CBS Sports HQ with Pete's Power Rankings and the Eagles with a huge game coming up against the Dallas Cowboys. Both of these teams riding winning streaks.
The Eagles' offensive line and run game against the Cowboys' defensive line and ability to rush the quarterback, it's going to be amazing. Now, they're not a conventional offense. So when you're not a conventional offense, it kind of helps neutralize some of that pass rush ability. But I can't wait to watch that front get after Jalen Hurts and see how Jalen Hurts responds to it, whether they run the ball more, be more physical, because their offensive line is really good. This is a classic case of a big-time NFC East battle. And think about this division. I mean, you have teams at the top that everybody thought would be okay. Right now, you can make the case they're the best division in the National Football League.
No question. I think they are the best division in the National Football League just by record alone, and you talking about the consistency in which their top 3 teams have been able to display week in and week out. The surprise, of course, is the Giants, and then you can be surprised as well with the job that the Cowboys have been able to do without Dak Prescott. So you talked about highlighting the battle in the trenches for the Eagles offensively, going against that front, that pass rush, that defense from Dallas. But what about Philadelphia's defense as well? I mean, they've been very, very opportunistic. They've done a great job in creating pressure, sacking quarterbacks. Will they be able to make Cooper Rush look like a backup quarterback, especially playing in their own backyard with all the momentum in their favor, the fan, the noise from the crowd? That should be a big-time benefit for Philly's defense. So that's something that I'm watching out for, too, as well, Pete Prisco, in regards to the Eagles' defense going against Cooper Rush and the Cowboys' offense.
And Cooper Rush wasn't asked to do a lot last week. He didn't have to do a lot last week. They ran the ball. I mean, you know, they got after the Rams and ran the ball, and I think that's what they'll try and do here. They don't want Cooper Rush to have the game on him. They want the game on the run game, which it's been lately. Run ball, play good defense. That's their formula.
For the Eagles, they have not trailed in the second half yet this season. 2019 Patriots, the last team to do that through the first 5 weeks of the season. All right, so the Eagles are number 1, but they're not the Super Bowl favorites right now. That would be the Bills and the Chiefs. They come in at 2 and 3. And they play each other this week in Kansas City.
Give me every bit of this. Just inject it in my veins. I love everything about this game. The playoff game was fantastic. I think we're getting a lot of the same type of game here. You're going to see explosive offenses, the 2 best quarterbacks in the National Football League right now, throwing it, winging it around. Who can get pressure on the quarterback? That's the key. Who can knock the other guy down? Remember, Buffalo lost to them a couple years ago, and they revamped everything they did on defense with the whole mindset of beating the Chiefs. Can you pressure the quarterback?
They did it in last year's regular season, though.
Correct.
Couldn't do it in the postseason.
Correct. Von Miller is now there. So I think this is one of those situations where you have a team trying to go to a special place one that's been there trying to keep them from getting to that special place. If Buffalo wins this game, they have a real shot to be the home field advantage in the postseason, and that would be enormous in Buffalo for them, or Orchard Park, as they say.
Big Sunday. Big Sunday is what this Sunday should be called based on the highly anticipated games we will see. This is potentially a preview of the AFC Championship game. It could be because, of course, the expectations, the way how both teams have performed so far this season, and you talked about the star power at the quarterback position. What we saw this past Monday night was just a opportunity for Kansas City to kind of get things ramped up based on the explosion of points they might see from Buffalo's offense. So being able to go toe-to-toe, punch for punch, that's something that Pat Mahomes just shown us he still can do even without Tyreek Hill. But I think this boils down to which defense do you trust more, right? We know about the injuries on the Buffalo side of things defensively, but yet and still, Von Miller has been the catalyst for that defense. I tend to side if I had to give you a pick right now in regards to the defense, which defense I trust more in this particular matchup, I side right now with the Buffalo Bills, but anything can happen between now and Sunday. But yes, Pete, I'm right there with you, man. This is going to be potentially an AFC Championship preview this Sunday.
Hey, B-Back, you know, they have nightmares about what Gabe Davis did to them last year in the playoffs, and now they got to watch the tape of what he did last week to your Steelers. That's all Buffalo needs, right? They're creative. They're amazing. They can throw the ball. They can do so many things with Josh Allen. Now they have the take-the-top-off guy to add to Diggs. My gosh, good luck defending that offense.
And the unique thing about Gabe Davis, now you can tell he's finally healthy. Remember, he was hampered with, I think it was an ankle injury or something like that. So he wasn't really himself. And you talked about what he did in the playoff game against Kansas City. Man, we saw similar glimpses of that this past Sunday against Pittsburgh. He is their deep threat. He's a bigger receiver, bigger than Stephon Diggs, but he is the guy that can take the top off coverages. And now the relationship is there between Josh Allen and Gabe Davis. So, wow, I have my popcorn ready. That's it. My cheddar popcorn is ready to rock and roll. I can't wait for Sunday.
Could the winner of this game jump the Eagles if they beat the Cowboys?
No, I think the Eagles will stay there.
Yeah.
I think if the Eagles win, they stay in the top spot.
Okay.
But the winner of this game, I think, might end up being the best team in the league by the time it's all said and done. And I picked Buffalo before the season. I still think they're the best team.
I'm surprised that you have the Vikings in the top 5. Well, you look at their record.
I did a favor to B-Mac. You know, I know he's got relatives. He's got relatives on that team.
I thought maybe B-Mac had some say in this. They're 4-1, right? You know, your record, you are what your record says you are. But I mean, they've struggled with some of the lesser teams in the league. They haven't looked dominant in the process. In fact, their last 3 wins, they haven't covered in any of those.
No, but the sign of a good team is winning games like that. You're going to have those games. Everybody's going to have games where you don't play well, you should win, and next thing you know, you look up and you're in a ball game.
But do you really think that they're a top 5 team in the NFL?
Yeah, well, I mean, who would you replace them with?
Probably the Cowboys.
Good question.
I don't know about that. With Cooper Rush in the lineup, you'd replace them with the Cowboys?
Well, they're going to get Dak back at some point.
Right.
The way
well,
that
when they get Dak back, they'll be better.
I would put the Cowboys ahead of the Vikings. I think some would put the 49ers ahead of
the Vikings. The Vikings ambushed the Bears and then went to sleep. That's what happened in that game. They ambushed them and went to sleep. They got to do a better job of putting teams away. I'll give you that. But they can score, and I still think they're kind of finding their way on defense with the new scheme. It hasn't worked yet. It will. It'll take some time, but they'll be fine. And BMAC knows as well as anybody that scheme can be an adjustment for a group that played a bunch of different schemes last year.
And the bright spot for the Vikings compared to what we saw last year, the games that they're finding a way to win this year, they lost those games last year. That's why they didn't get a chance to make the playoffs. And they were in the playoff hunt almost until the very last week of the season, the second to the last week of the season or something like that. So that's a bright spot. That's a bright sign to see this team is finding ways to win ball games. Offensively, they can score. We know about that. I like what I'm seeing from Dalvin Cook. Now we're starting to see Dalvin Cook emerge to be a productive player in this offense. So that clearly makes them, a balanced offense. When you look at what he's doing, Madison as well coming in as a backup, giving him relief, doing some productive things. Defensively, that has to be the storyline. They have to find a way to become more stout and put together 4 quarters of play. But let's keep it real. On paper, they have the personnel to do so. It's just about adjusting. It's not necessarily all about the players adjusting to the new scheme. Sometimes it's about the coaches adjusting to their players as well, trying to get familiar about what they like in situational moments and what they don't like. But the moral of the story is win ball games. There's no such thing as style points. I know we crave about the lines and covering the spread and things like that. For those guys in the locker room with that helmet on, they just want to flat out win. It doesn't matter by how much or whatever the case may be.
So they're number 5. The Cowboys right behind them at number 6 with that game against the Eagles. We've talked about that a little bit. But what could Dak comes back, the ceiling rises a little bit more, does it not, even though Rush has won?
Absolutely. This whole talk about maybe Cooper Rush is making quarterback controversy is absurd. There's no quarterback controversy. Dak Prescott's the starting quarterback. He's significantly better than Cooper Rush. Quarterback wins isn't a stat, okay? Let's throw that out the window. You could put the tape on and see Dak Prescott's a better quarterback. And when he gets back in there, they're running the ball. That'll make it that much easier on him. The offensive line was a concern. They're playing good football. I watched them on tape this morning. They push people around. They're good in the run game. And, at times they struggle a little bit in pass protection, but that'll be on Dak Prescott to get out. Yeah, this is a good Cowboys team with a really good defensive front. They have a lot of guys, particularly Parsons. We know he's good, but they have a lot of guys, Lawrence, Armstrong, guys who can rush the passer. And passer, run, knock the passer down. That's how you win in this league.
Yeah, the formula they have, they're executing it to the best. Playing good defense, running the football, and not turning the ball over. And Cooper Rush has been smart in playing clean, smart football. You know what I mean? I like what he's doing. He's not Superman. He's actually Clark Kent. And that's okay. You don't have to put the cape on. Just do what they're telling you to do and give your team an opportunity to bow their back up and play good football. So, listen, their defense, the way they rush the passer, they will always be competitive because I don't think there's an offense that can protect their quarterback consistently for 4 quarters based on some of the guys that Pete mentioned. My question for you, Pete, though, is this. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, Dak Prescott does not play Sunday night. Let's say Cooper Rush goes out, makes another start, they win the ball game. Not solely because of the arm of Cooper Rush, but just because Cooper Rush has been doing Cooper Rush things, they won the ball game. Next week, Dak Prescott is feeling better in gripping the football. They're saying he's spinning it a little bit. Do you tell Dak Prescott, hold on, Dak, maybe let's just wait one more week?
No, I saw.
Not saying that.
No, B-Back, I saw you hinting at a quarterback controversy. I saw it the other day. They tweeted it out. They give me a break. There's no quarter. You know what Cooper Rush is? If you opened up any football book and it said game manager, his picture would be there right next to it. That's what he is. He hasn't been asked to win games. 220 yards a game. Stop it, B-Mac.
Can I say something? I wasn't trying to spark a quarterback controversy. All I was saying is I know how some people within the organization think. They like the hot hand, not necessarily saying his hand is hot, but the man has been winning ball games, not because of his production, but just with him in the saddle. All I said was, would they be like, you know what? Let's keep him in there until he loses.
No.
No.
You put your starting quarterback back in as soon as he's ready to play. If he can't grip the football, you don't play him. If he can grip the football, you're back in. Nice. Thanks, Cooper. You did a great job. Now go sit on the sidelines and hold the clipboard, because that's what you are. You're a clipboard holder.
Wow. Not a clipboard.
That's all you are, Cooper Rush.
Well, he's a backup quarterback.
You might be 5-0 as a starter,
but you're a backup quarterback. Quarterback wins is not a stat. It's a team win, and they're winning because they're running the ball and playing good defense, and he is managing the game. Has he been asked to win a game yet? Win a game. Come from behind.
Pete, there are only a few quarterbacks in the National Football League. If they were asked to win a ball game, they can go deliver that. There's only a few.
Is Dak one of them? Is Dak one of them?
Oh, that's a good question. I got to think about it. Can he win a ball game?
The only reason you're thinking about it is because your argument the other way. Stop it.
No, I'm just saying. I'm not. Josh Allen is one.
Josh Allen, he's not on the Cowboys.
But I'm just saying, if you throw those names out to me, I'm answering instantly. I don't have to think about it. Right? You know what I'm saying? I don't have to think about it.
B-Mac.
He can. He can get it done.
Come on,
I'm not saying he can't. Listen,
we've seen him get it done. He's come from behind with the team with a big day. Hey, Chris, this guy hasn't.
Chris, you didn't hear me? Chris, what I said, he can get it done. I'm not saying he can do it at the rate as some of the other guys, but he can get it done. We've seen, you're right. We've seen it from him before. He can do it. I'm not saying he can't do it. I just had to think about it. That's it. That's all.
He's making a quarterback controversy where there isn't one.
I think BMAC would say that if Cooper Rush wins this game against the Eagles,
right, he should start. That's what he's trying to say. He's trying to say it, but he's afraid to say it because he's fear of getting just blasted on Twitter for saying it.
I just look at it from the standpoint of being a gambler. And when I play blackjack, whenever I'm winning, I keep everything the same. Like my phone might be right here, my water might be right here. Everything is the same. I'm not moving nothing as long as I continue to win hand after hand after hand. And there are some people within organizations that have the same thought process. I've seen it. In my time playing as a player, I've seen it. Like, yo, if it's not broke,
I get it, because you win in blackjack because your water's over here and your drink is over here and your whatever, and your phone is over here. You're out of your mind. By the way, you don't win.
When I play blackjack and if I'm winning, nobody moves. Nobody. Everybody stay put. I don't care if you have to use the bathroom, stay put, because I got a hot hand, and whatever we've been doing, the energy that we're giving off is working.
He splits tens when he plays blackjack. That's what he does.
By the way, I have to go to the bathroom. We have to take a break. So the Cowboys coming in at number 6.
You're going right now. You're not going anywhere.
I'm going. Well, let's recap the top 10 here. Dolphins still in the top 10, Pete. I'm a little surprised by that.
Quarterback didn't play. And the other quarterback didn't play. Put a third-team quarterback in with any team in the top 9 ahead of them and see how they do.
Okay. Yeah, weird year. The 4 3-2 teams in the top 10. A lot of parity right now.
A lot of bad teams.
Not in New York, though. How about the Jets and the Giants? Giants into the top 10, but does Pete still not believe they're a playoff contender? That's what he said last week. And where do the Jets fall? Not in the top 10. How high do they climb, though? Find out next. The Giants 4-1 for the first time since 2008. They came back in London to stun the Packers over the weekend. First 14-point comeback since Daniel Jones, that first start, that magical first start back in 2019. He's kind of come all the way around. Great start, and then you think he's done, and now he might be earning a new contract with this start for the G-Man. They are up to number 8 in Pete Prisco's latest power rankings. That's Pete. That's BMAC. I'm Chris. Giants up 8 spots. Now, last week, they were 3-1, and you said not only are they not a contender in the division, you didn't think they'd be a contender for a playoff spot. Have you changed your tune yet?
Yes, I have. You beat the Packers. I believe in you. And they beat the Packers. The Packers beat themselves, but they beat the Packers. And they're doing it with the formula that's old school. You run the ball with Saquon Barkley. You make Daniel Jones play safe. You get him outside the pocket. The offensive line's getting better, and they can rush the quarterback. And the reason they can rush the passer, why? Because Wink Martindale is so aggressive. They were playing down 2 corners last week at one point in that game, and they were still getting after the quarterback and not giving up big plays to Aaron Rodgers. That's a testament to, A, Wink Martindale, but the guys who are on the field and the ability to rush the passer. This team will be fun to watch when they play the Ravens this week. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is Wink Martindale came from Baltimore, and they know what he can do. He knows what Lamar Jackson can do. It's going to be a fun game, but they've earned the right to be in this spot.
And you know what, guys? The unique thing in regards with the Giants being 4-1, look at the people they've been winning with, right? No Kenny Galladay, Kadarius Toney, Shepard is out. And they're still finding ways to win and do it in a productive way. And Daniel Jones might not be blowing you away with his stats, but get this, he is smarter with the football, and he's definitely doing a great job at improvising and making things happen with his legs, his athleticism. So I tip my hat to the staff, and I tip my hat to the guys that have been called to play more than what was expected based on some of the big-time players not suiting up and not being healthy. So they're well coached, and they play so hard. This is a team that plays hard, almost as hard as any other team in the National Football League, and they have the positive record to show for it. So this is a under-the-radar game because we have so many big games this weekend in the NFL, but this is an under-the-radar game that has it could have a huge say-so in how legit the Giants can be and the direction the Baltimore Ravens will be going. So this is a great test, more so for the Giants than the Baltimore Ravens, because like you said, Pete, they have surprised a lot of people, but now everyone is starting to catch notice in what they're doing and how they're doing it.
Yeah, and they haven't rushed the passer with their stars. I mean, Thibodeau was out for a while. Ojulari's been out. And once they get those guys going,
Leonard Williams
has been out. And Dexter Lawrence has emerged as a force in the middle of that defense. He's a power player. And Andrew Thomas at left tackle has emerged as one of the best left tackles in the league. You need stars to win in this league. Do they have stars? Barkley's playing like a star. Andrew Thomas is playing like a star. Dexter Lawrence is playing like a star. When you get those pass rushers going, they have the pieces. And Brian Dable is brilliant at calling offensive plays.
Love to see
Pete, question for you.
Saquon Barkley.
He doesn't call the plays, but Kafka building the scheme. Mike Kafka's very good as well.
Yo, Pete, seeing what Daniel Jones has been able to do you pay him? You got to pay one. You got to pay Saquon or you got to pay Daniel. You might franchise one or the other. But what do you foresee happening contract-wise with both players, Saquon and Daniel Jones?
Check back with me later on in the season. I can't make a decision on that right now. I mean, Saquon has to stay healthy through the season. Daniel Jones has to continue to improve. And at some point, B-Mac, they're going to have to put up some gaudy passing numbers. At some point, they have to. You know that. That's the way the league is. At some point, they're going to have to throw for 330 and see if he can do it. And if he can do it, then maybe I start to lean the way either give him a new contract or franchise him.
Might have to do it this week against the Ravens. That game is on CBS. The other New York team, the Jets, the biggest riser of the week, up 12 spots to number 14 in a big spot coming up. After the Giants beat the Packers in London, Jets go to Green Bay this week.
By the way, Robert Saleh sent me a list, and your name is on it. You didn't believe it.
Everybody was on it, right?
My name is on it. B-Mac's name is on it.
My name wasn't on it.
Oh, B-Mac, stop it. You thought they'd be good this year. Stop it.
I thought they would be better than last year, no question.
That wasn't hard. You thought they would be 3-2 in the middle of the pack and contending in the AFC East. You thought they would be doing that this year.
Yeah, I thought it would be a positive record, yes.
Wow.
We have the tape. It's been clipped.
We'll have to send somebody, one of our interns, back to find that.
Yeah,
tape.
we'll have to find that tape because
it's hidden somewhere.
He has all these like selective tapes in the back of his head. He pulls out about 20 days after he says them. I don't believe him. I don't believe he said that. But okay, I didn't believe him. I'll be honest, 100%. I thought they'd be feisty. I said that many a time and be competitive, but not this. And again, they got a break. Think about their schedule though. Cleveland had no business winning that game. They owe Nick Chubb part of their checks for that week because he didn't go down. Last week, they get a big break. They're playing the third-team quarterback, and he's a rookie out of Kansas State. So, Skylar Thompson, that was a break for him. But you are, like you say, Chris, you are what your record says you are, and they've earned the respect. And I think Robert Saleh is a heck of a coach. I think he gets that team playing hard. And let's not forget, they didn't have their starting quarterback early in the season.
Right.
Mm-hmm. The future is super bright for the Jets because the draft picks they just selected in this past year's draft have all shown up, and they're playing like big-time players. Breece Hall, my goodness, you talk about emerging and kicking down the door. This past Sunday, he didn't just show us he's a feature back, but also reliable hands out of the backfield. Sauce Gardner's playing big-time football. Jermaine Johnson, I know he was dealing with a little injury, but yet and still doing some positive things. They got a nice formula as well. Running the football, they're not giving Zach Wilson a lot of pass attempts, and they're playing good football. They're playing good defensive football. They're getting after people. So this is a nice, tricky ball game for the Jets. And traveling to Green Bay, you know Green Bay is trying to get back into the winning column. If the Jets can go to Lambeau Field and steal one, just like the Giants stole one this past Sunday, yeah, a lot of people will be paying more attention to what they're doing currently. But it's already been a successful season for the Jets, just being able to showcase that they can compete, they fight, and they know how to win ball games. And I understand Pete, it was against the third-string quarterback for the Dolphins, but get this, they made him look like a third-stringer, and they put up, 40 points on the Dolphins' defense.
Can I get an early prediction for next year? Watch out for this team next year. That's all I'm going to say. Watch out for the Jets next year.
You're a believer in Zach Wilson now?
Yeah. I think he showed something at the end of last season too.
That's not necessarily an early prediction. I mean, heck, my son could have said that, and he's 9. I mean,
Oh, that's right. You said it. You said it before this season. He said it before this season. You're going to be a playoff. You said they were going to be a playoff team, didn't you?
No, I didn't say that. I'm not going to allow you to put that on me. I did not say that, but I did say the Jets will be a positive, good team this season. Better, way better than a year ago. Said that.
Brady Quinn did not say that. Brady had him 0-9 to start, right?
Yeah, he did.
Now he's paying a bunch of money to charity because of it. So we got the New York City teams, 7-3, combined. The LA teams, 5-5 combined. Chargers might be showing that they're turning the corner, but the Rams are below 500. I mean, who would have thought this, that the Jets and the Giants would be outperforming the Chargers and the Rams at this point?
The New York teams are better than the LA teams right now. They are. I mean, you can't argue that. There's no case to be made any other way. And I am really disappointed in the Rams. You know, we talk about the Super Bowl hangover and if it's real or not. It's real for the Rams right now. And you know what else is real? When you go for it, you're going to pay the price for going for it. And they're paying the price right now. And look, you sell your soul to get a Super Bowl ring, you got it. So kudos to you. It's well worth it. I don't care what anybody says, it's well worth it. But now you're paying the price for that. You look at their offensive line. They're a disaster across the board. They can't block anybody. And even Joseph Noteboom played well last week at left tackle, but nobody else did. So you're going to have pressure on Stafford. They don't have people who can run in the passing game. Cooper Kupp's a great receiver, probably the best in the NFL, but he needs help. Allen Robinson can't run. So you add it all up, and they have major problems on the offensive side of the ball. But again, they went for it last year. You sold your soul, and you got it. It's all worth it. Whatever happens now, okay, it's part of the process.
And I don't see anything changing with the Rams because their offensive line, how will they get better? The personnel is the personnel. I don't think they can go get Andrew Whitworth out of retirement. But even with that being said, he might be one of the more stable, consistent offensive linemen if he was to step foot out of retirement, jump right back into the lineup, and give them some type of production. But that's how bad it's been. And because of their inability to block for Matthew Stafford is looking like a bad quarterback. He's a turnover-prone quarterback right now. He's not throwing the ball with confidence. And the only pass catcher he sees running routes is Cooper Kupp. At this rate, I don't know if Cooper Kupp's body can hold it up based on the production and the volume that he is receiving because he's been called to do so much. He's been asked to do so much. But Allen Robinson was a bad signing, point blank. I don't know what they thought he could do in their offense because he's not a deep threat. He's never been a deep threat, especially at this stage in his career. And now he's not creating separation within any intermediate routes. And they're really missing Van Jefferson. So they're down bad personnel-wise and executing. They're not doing a great job at that, especially in the offensive end. So I don't see how they will get better. As you mentioned, this will be a down year for the Rams.
You know that they need speed outside. They have no speed.
Ain't got speed.
Tutu Atwell's supposed to be speed, and he doesn't play. I mean, they need somebody who can take the top off, and signing Allen Robinson didn't make sense. By the time there's an opportunity to get Odell Beckham back on the field, it might be too late for the Rams.
Who would have thought that? 2-3 right now after the first 5 weeks of the season for the Super Bowl champs. You had the Jacksonville Jaguars in the top 10 just 2 weeks ago, and there were a lot of people thinking, boy, this team might be for real. And then they played 2 more games, and they're all the way down below where they started the season. They started the season at 25. You've got them at 26. What happened?
They lost at home to the Texans.
Yeah, but what's happened to the team? I mean, I know the result,
I'm going to go back to the Eagles
God.
game. I'm going to go back to the Eagles game. There was a play in the Eagles game. They're up 14-0. Jamal Agnew wide open for what would have been like a 70-yard touchdown pass. Should have been a 70-yard touchdown pass. Trevor Lawrence overthrows them. They get no points. Eagles come back, win the game because the Jaguars fumbled and stumbled through the rain. I think that impacted who they were. They believed in themselves when they went to the Chargers and won, then went to Philly and were leading 14-0. They get back home and they played awful on Sunday. That is not a good Texans team. That is not a good Texans offense. Trevor Lawrence was not very good. And it wasn't awful, but it wasn't good. They have to be better throwing the football. A couple weeks ago, they shut out the Colts. They play the Colts this week up in Indy. If they go up there and they don't dominate defensively against that offensive line, which is bad, then there's a major red flag for that team. The Jaguars always become the Jaguars. Always. Just when you think they're going to go past it and get out from underneath the abyss they've been in for years, they're the Jaguars again. And that's what happened against the Texans.
Well, the last 2 weeks, Trevor Lawrence has been bad. I don't know if he's throwing the football with his eyes closed, but he's not being smart with the football. Turnovers had allowed Philly to get right back into that ball game and steal one. And then this past Sunday, 3-3 score. Your defense is doing everything you want them to do plus more. You're inside the 10-yard line, inside the 5 if I'm not mistaken. A horrible decision. Interception, by Derek Stingley changed the course of that ball game in the second half. Eventually, that jump started the Texans to get the necessary touchdown to be able to win that ball game. Trevor Lawrence has to be smarter with the football, and I thought he was showcasing that he can be reliable, especially that big win against the Chargers. But since then, I don't know exactly how many turnovers he's been a part of, but clearly he has been a part of more than 3 to 4 based on what we've seen over this last 2-game stretch against the Eagles and currently this past Sunday against the Texans. So for them to change the course of what they've been doing, he has to be smarter with the football, point blank.
Checkdown's okay, by the way. There are many of opportunities for him to check the ball down and get a first down, and he's not doing that. He's not getting off his progressions quick enough. He will. He'll be fine. People in Jacksonville want him benched, which is ridiculous.
Benched for who? Who's the backup?
C.J. Beathard.
Iowa quarterbacks always fare well in the NFL.
Yeah, don't they?
Commanders are last, by the way, in Pete Prisco's power rankings. Bryant, what's coming up on the latest All Things Covered podcast?
Well, you know, the Minnesota Vikings, as we talked about earlier with Pete Prisco's top 10, they're 4-1. Big-time ball game. Patrick Peterson gets a chance to go back to his home state, play against the Miami Dolphins. And hopefully the Miami Dolphins have their third-string quarterback because, you know, that's a great opportunity for the Vikings to continue to stack victories. And let's see exactly how high they could climb next week in Pete Prisco's top 10.
Yeah, they are, what, number 5 right now? Yeah. Just behind the Bucks. Number 5.
Pat's Pete going to be on Tyreek Hill in man coverage?
Yes.
Really?
Wow, I can't wait to watch it.
All right, get your popcorn ready.
Pat's a competitor now.
You know how we do it in Broward County. We compete, Pete.
I know.
You know that.
Hey, I'm from there.
Thanks, Pete. Thanks, B-Mac.
Yes, sir.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.